Saluton from BA. This is a Rorschach Multilateral update from the 25th of February 2025, a summary of what's going down in the world's major multilateral institutions. Our first story this week is about the environment. On Tuesday the 18th, the UN Environment Programme urged for swift action to tackle climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. It noted that progress has been inconsistent. The head of the program acknowledged both wins and setbacks in the past year, adding that global tensions are making cooperation harder. She stressed that working together remains essential to protecting the planet. The agency is helping over 16 nations shift to electric vehicles to help tackle these issues. It also conducts research, sets international environmental standards, and supports policies that aim to protect ecosystems and human well-being. Additionally, it leads global initiatives such as a fight against plastic pollution and efforts to restore degraded ecosystems. On Wednesday the 19th, the World Trade Organization, or WTO, held discussions in Geneva to address global trade tensions, particularly focusing on US President Donald Trump's tariff policies. Representatives from the United States, Nicaragua, Namibia, Malaysia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Russia participated in the talks. Most of these countries expressed concerns about the increasing trade disputes and urged caution. One of the essential duties of the WTO is resolving trade disputes through a structured dispute settlement system where member countries can file complaints if they believe another member has violated trade agreements. The WTO first encourages consultations and negotiations, but if no resolution is reached, a panel of experts reviews the case and issues a ruling. If a country does not comply with the ruling, the organization can authorize retaliatory measures, such as trade sanctions, to enforce compliance. On another note, on Friday the 21st, the UN Security Council unanimously adopted a resolution urging Rwanda to withdraw its military forces from the Democratic Republic of Congo and cease support for the M23 rebel group. It also calls on Congolese forces to stop supporting armed groups in the country. The Council emphasizes the need for diplomatic dialogue between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda to resolve the conflict. On Tuesday the 18th, the Inter-American Development Bank and Japan's International Cooperation Agency announced that they have teamed up to launch a $1 billion fund aimed at boosting private investment in Latin America and the Caribbean. This initiative, known as the Trust Fund for Achieving Development of Latin America and the Caribbean, is a large private sector investment in the region and a massive collaboration. The fund will co-finance projects that promote sustainable growth, addressing the almost $100 billion annual financing gap in the region. It might be expanded to $1.5 billion within 3 years. In defense news, on Friday the 21st, Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, met with Radoslaw Sikorski, the Polish foreign minister, in Washington to discuss the importance of NATO allies increasing their defense spending, especially given the ongoing Russian-Ukraine conflict. Rubio emphasized the urgency for all NATO members to boost their defense investments without delay. This meeting aligns with President Donald Trump's recent calls for NATO countries to meet or exceed the 2% GDP defense spending guideline, with Poland currently leading by allocating about 4% of its GDP to defense. Also on Friday, the International Organization for Migration reported that about 90% of homes in Gaza have been destroyed, which left hundreds of thousands homeless. The damage is due to Israel's war in Gaza in response to Hamas's attack on the 7th of October in 2023. The organization is working closely with the UN and other partners to boost emergency shelter efforts. The scale of destruction in Gaza is overwhelming, with families who were evacuated from the main conflict zones returning to find only rubble, enduring harsh weather without proper shelter. On Saturday the 22nd, Viktor Orbán, Hungary's prime minister, said that Hungarians should decide Ukraine's potential European Union membership through a referendum. For context, Orbán has been critical of Ukraine's admission into Western multi-government institutions. In Orbán's annual State of the Nation address in Budapest, he described Ukraine as a buffer zone between Russia and NATO countries. Known for his close ties with the Kremlin, Orbán has previously hindered EU efforts to assist Ukraine, criticizing and threatening to veto sanctions against Russia. In other news, on Thursday the 20th, the International Court of Justice granted the African Union permission to take part in the case regarding Israel's legal obligations in relation to UN activities within the occupied Palestinian territories. Israel has been accused of hindering UN aid efforts in these territories. This case aims to assess Israel's legal duties concerning its presence and military actions in Palestinian territories, alongside the involvement of the UN and other international organizations in these areas. The ruling could have significant implications for global legal perspectives on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Back to the UN, on Thursday the 20th, the UN Development Programme emphasized that accelerating economic recovery is essential for Syria's future stability. After 14 years of conflict, Syria has lost nearly 4 decades of economic and social progress, with 9 in 10 Syrians now living in poverty. The economy is projected to reach its pre-conflict GDP levels in almost 5 decades, unless significant growth accelerates. The conflict has led to over 600,000 deaths and millions displaced, while economic output has halved and poverty and unemployment rates have risen. On Wednesday the 19th, the World Health Organization announced that a mass polio vaccination campaign will continue in Gaza later this month. Almost 600,000 children under the age of 10 will receive the oral polio vaccine. This follows the detection of poliovirus in Gaza's wastewater, highlighting the risk of spread due to low immunity and poor sanitation conditions. The ongoing conflict and movement of displaced individuals further increase the risk, making this vaccination campaign crucial for preventing an outbreak. On the same day, the Organization of American States and Belize signed an agreement to strengthen the protection of refugees in the country. The deal focuses on improving the refugee framework, ensuring human rights, and supporting long-term solutions for displaced individuals. Belize, which has become a significant refuge for those fleeing conflicts, will benefit from this cooperation in improving its legal and support systems for refugees, ensuring their integration into society and access to essential services. Although not a member country of the organization, Morocco's parliament participated in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, or OSCE, engaging in discussions on regional security and cooperation. Specifically, participants addressed key global issues, including international peace and security, climate change impacts, migration, and the future of European security. The meeting also highlighted the strong historical relationship between Morocco and France, emphasizing its growth, especially after French President Emmanuel Macron's landmark visit to Morocco. The OSCE Parliamentary Assembly serves as a platform for parliamentarians from different states to exchange views and work collectively on issues such as conflict prevention, human rights, and economic development. Morocco's active participation highlights its dedication to contributing to regional stability and cooperation. Let's close this edition with some news from Asia. Thaksin Shinawatra, the former Thai Prime Minister and informal advisor to Malaysia's chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, visited Thailand's southern provinces to support peace efforts in the region. For context, there has been a long-standing conflict in the area, mainly involving separatist insurgents from the Malay Muslim-majority provinces. Groups from these provinces seek greater autonomy from the Thai government, leading to violent clashes and tensions. Thaksin emphasized that negotiations at all levels are key to achieving peace and expressed his commitment to finding a solution. This is his first visit to the area since his government was overthrown 20 years ago. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. In case you didn't know, besides the Rorschach Multilateral Update, we also do others. We've got many country updates from Africa, Asia, South America, and Europe. But we also have non-country updates, including the Arctic update about the area north of the Arctic Circle, and the ocean update about the 70% of the world covered in salt water. If you want to check out the full list of updates, go to rorschach.com/updates. The link is in the show notes. See you next week.